He built a multi-million-dollar career on being the ultimate devoted husband until viral photos caught him with his own employee in a New York nightclub.
Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to reconstruct the September 2022 Try Guys scandal. But we're not looking at this as internet gossip. We are treating this as a serious analytical corporate case study on crisis management and HR protocol. We really want to understand how internet brands transition into complex corporate entities and how a personal failing can literally trigger massive corporate liabilities overnight. To get there, we'll quickly walk through the initial September leaks, how Second Try LLC responded, the underlying power dynamic problem, the corporate legal liabilities, and finally, the overall crisis management and fallout. Starting with Part 1, the September leaks. Let's look at how this went from an unauthorized leak right into a full-scale corporate emergency. This timeline right here highlights the unbelievable speed at which modern media startups can face an existential threat. So on September 3rd, the initial rumors start circulating on Reddit when direct messages involving the producer's fiancé leak, along with allegations of the two kissing at a New York club. Now, for weeks, the company is quietly dealing with this behind the scenes, even editing the executive out of upcoming content. But fast forward to September 27th, and the evidence goes completely viral on Twitter. The company went from navigating unconfirmed Reddit rumors to executing a founding executive's termination in just over 3 weeks. Moving to Part 2, Second Try LLC response. Once the evidence was out there, they needed immediate corporate damage control.
The contrast between these two statements is absolutely fascinating because it tells us exactly how the parties were positioning themselves legally. Ned Fulmer released a statement framing the situation personally, calling it a consensual workplace relationship and apologizing to fans and his wife, Ariel. But the company, they utilized strict, uncompromising HR language. The remaining executives didn't call it a mistake or a lapse in judgment. No, they emphasized a thorough internal review and declared a definitive end to their working relationship. A few days later, on October 3rd, the remaining owners released that heavily vetted What Happened video. They recognized that sweeping this under the rug simply wasn't an option. As Eugene Lee Young pointed out, the very integrity and value system of Second Try LLC were on trial. They had to signal to millions of viewers and, more importantly, to their staff of over 20 employees that their corporate values actually meant something in practice. So, here is the big question for this explainer. How do executive workplace affairs actually endanger corporate liability in media startups? Why is an affair treated as a corporate emergency and not just a personal failing? Well, to answer that, we're at Part 3, the power dynamic problem. Let's take a look at when consensual meets corporate hierarchy. If you look at academic research analyzing this exact event, audiences almost instantly rejected Fulmer's consensual framing. People zeroed right in on the massive power imbalance. You have Fulmer, a co-owner, founder, and executive, and Alexandria Herring, a subordinate associate producer. Even if an executive doesn't supervise an employee on paper day to day, the person at the top always holds the power to impact someone's employment. And legally speaking, that manager-subordinate dynamic is a landmine. Under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, an employer can face what's called vicarious liability for a supervisor's actions, specifically if that supervisor can take tangible employment actions like hiring, firing, or altering benefits. Basically, if a subordinate later claims the relationship was coerced because they were terrified of losing their job, the company itself is staring down catastrophic sexual harassment lawsuits. Which brings us nicely to Part 4. Corporate legal liability. Let's break down the practical risks of executive affairs. According to employment law experts, these are the immediate practical risks that could activate it the second a relationship like this begins. First, it creates an unavoidable conflict of interest and is often viewed as a direct breach of fiduciary duty, which can absolutely tank future fundraising or business deals. Beyond that, it crushes employee morale. Staff might perceive favoritism or feel pressure to tolerate inappropriate behavior, making them reluctant to report HR issues because the leadership is compromised. All of this can easily spiral into hostile work environment claims. And this really underscores the strict HR standards in places like California, where Second Try LLC operates. Companies can be held liable for an executive's conduct regardless of whether the rest of the executive team even knew it was happening. This is exactly why the Try Guys said they had to act so swiftly the moment they saw the evidence. Finally, Part 5, Crisis Management and Fallout. Let's look at how they stabilized the brand. Faced with all those immense liabilities, the company executed a textbook HR response protocol. Step 1, they immediately removed Fulmer from all work activities. Step 2, they didn't try to wing it.
they formally retained outside employment lawyers and PR pros. This allowed them to move to step 3, conducting an independent internal investigation. Only after all that did they reach step 4, terminating him to protect the staff from the liability he created, and step 5, executing a transparent public disclosure to keep their audience's trust. But while the corporate entity managed to survive through decisive legal action, the human fallout was devastating. 3 years later, in 2025, Ariel Fulmer went on a podcast called Rock Bottom. She publicly confirmed the immense trauma of the situation, revealing she actually found out about the affair from fans sending her photos. She described the terrible burden of the scandal, telling her estranged husband, "All that guilt and shame, you gave that to me. You hoisted that on me." So here is the critical thought we need to walk away with today. This scandal wasn't just internet drama. It was a massive wake-up call for the entire creator economy. As these internet brands grow from just friends shooting videos into multi-million-dollar corporations, how will they proactively safeguard against the severe liabilities of executive power? As we've seen, a strict non-fraternization policy isn't just boring corporate red tape, it's an essential shield that protects the livelihood of every single person on the payroll. If you found this analytical breakdown helpful, please subscribe for Corporate Media Case Files. We'll continue to examine the fascinating intersection of digital media, crisis management, and the law. Thanks for learning with us today.